Registrations are filling fast for Fast Track 2026, the VLGA's national one-day annual conference focused this year on incivility and its threat to local democracy. The event will bring together stakeholders from across the local government sector to address the rise of incivility in public discourse and its impact on democratic processes. It will explore how hostile behaviour, misinformation and the erosion of respectful dialogue threatens the effectiveness, safety and integrity of local governance. It's on Friday the 27th of February at the RACV City Club in Melbourne. To register and find out more, visit the events page at the VLGA website, vlga.org.au. Coming up on the Roundup today, an urgent call for action on bushfire support, a New South Wales councillor under fire for controversial Australia Day comments, a close-knit town in mourning as the hunt continues for a council worker turned fugitive, a warning for parents from a Queensland mayor, 2 Tasmanian councillors suspended for conduct breaches as Hobart City Council comes under watch from the local government minister, and calls for the mayor of Alice Springs to resign. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. Welcome back to the Local Government News Roundup, another summer series update for you. Also today, strong representation from local government in this year's Australia Day honours list. The podcast is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. Let's start with some Victorian news, and Murrindindi Shire Council has issued an urgent call to action following the devastating bushfires that have torn through the region this month. At a special meeting last week, the council formally acknowledged the widespread impact of the fires, including the loss of homes, businesses, livestock and wildlife. The community is also mourning the death of a local resident. Mayor Damien Gallagher says recovery must be community-led and strongly supported by all levels of government. He said this will be a long journey, but we will walk it together. The council is calling for genuine partnership with state and federal governments, with priority support for the agricultural sector and local economy. The meeting also passed measures allowing council officers to act quickly on urgent recovery works. Meanwhile, the council has warned that road conditions in and around fire-affected areas remain hazardous. Residents and organisations providing relief and recovery services are urged to take extreme care and only enter closed roads when formally authorised. Wyndham City Council has released figures on its Truganina Security Patrol trial, which started in November. At the halfway point, the trial has logged 478 incident reports over 45 patrol nights, primarily focusing on passive deterrence and providing valuable insights for community safety improvements. The trial is helping the council identify crime patterns and hotspots, though Mayor Councillor Josh Gilligan notes that state government support would be needed to expand the program beyond the current pilot. Moorabool Shire Council has opened consultation on introducing a municipal charge, which would apply a fixed fee to all properties. Total rates collected would be the same, but there would be changes to how that total amount is shared across properties. The proposed change would impact different properties differently, with some seeing rate decreases and others increases. The council has provided a rating calculator and resources to help residents understand the potential impact on their individual properties. The City of Whittlesea is developing a business case for a youth hub to serve its large and growing youth population. 35% are aged 25 or under. Sites in Epping and South Morang are being considered for the first hub in the municipality. The proposed hub and spoke model would feature a central hub providing core programs and services, with satellite locations delivering activities closer to where young people live. A business case is expected to come to the council in March. And checking some of the media stories from recent days, in the Upper Yarra Star Mail, a report on the Outer Melbourne Council's group push for the restoration of the Growing Suburbs Fund after it was axed by the Victorian State Government. That's despite outer metropolitan areas being forecast to experience the state's highest population growth. The fund previously delivered over $445 million across 370 infrastructure projects in growing suburbs like Yarra Ranges and Cardinia, but it was gradually reduced and eliminated in the 2025-26 budget. ABC News has profiled councillor Tony Clark, who's been legally blind since age 20 and became the first person with a disability to serve as Mayor of Hepburn Shire Council in November. Councillor Clark aims to bring unique perspectives to the role and advocate for accessibility improvements that benefit everyone. Using adaptive technology and with workplace accommodations, including his guide dog Timmy, Councillor Clark is inspiring future disabled leaders by demonstrating that lived experience with disability is a strength, not a limitation. And a beloved piece of Victorian childhood is set to receive official heritage protection. The iconic Rocket Playground in Benala's Botanical Gardens is on course for heritage listing. The 8-metre-tall rocket, erected in 1966, is one of only 4 remaining in Victoria. Benalla Mayor Bernie Hearn, who climbed the rocket as a child, says it's more than just playground equipment. She said, "Meet you at the rocket" is an iconic saying in the town. The listing will be open for public feedback until March 17, with a final decision expected mid-year. That story comes from The Age, link in the show notes. Also happening around the state, the generosity of the Greater Shepparton community has been demonstrated after a call for support for bushfire-affected communities. 85 fruit bins of essential supplies were donated to a drop-off centre at the Shepparton Showgrounds and then delivered to the Seymour Relief Centre. The City of Greater Geelong is developing a film and screen production strategy to potentially establish a world-class movie studio that would complement Melbourne's Docklands studio. The city is collaborating with Pelligra, Vic Screen and Deakin University on the strategy. At Ararat, Rural City Council has joined the Back Your Neighbour campaign alongside over 40 Australian councils to advocate for fairness and dignity for people seeking asylum. The community is encouraged to support the campaign through social media engagement, sending messages to MPs and partnering with the initiative to build an inclusive and welcoming environment. On to New South Wales, and a Western Sydney councillor is facing widespread criticism after making controversial comments about Australia Day. According to the Daily Telegraph, independent Cumberland councillor Ahmed Oof posted videos on social media this week comparing January 26 celebrations to Holocaust remembrance and claiming supporters of the date might start another genocide. The comments have drawn sharp rebuke from fellow councillors and government officials. Former Cumberland Mayor Steve Christo called the Holocaust comparison deeply offensive to both the Australian people and the Jewish population. Ironically, just months earlier, Councillor Oof successfully moved a motion to hand out Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander and Australian flags at the Council's Australia Day celebrations. The Guardian has reported on how a regional New South Wales council's decision to remove the Aboriginal flag from its chambers has sparked controversy and accusations of erasing Indigenous history. In November, Federation Council, which includes the town of Corowa, voted 5-4 to exclusively fly the Australian flag on all Shire flagpoles, removing the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flags from council chambers. The council will only fly Indigenous flags during NAIDOC and Reconciliation Weeks. Mayor Cheryl Cook says the move aims to unite the community under one sovereign emblem, but traditional owners say it does the opposite. The council will vote on the final protocol in March after considering public submissions. Lachlan Shire Council in the centre of New South Wales is mourning the tragic deaths in Lake Cargelligo last week in an incident alleged to involve a council staff member. Mayor John Metcalf said the incident was a crying shame in the close-knit town, and the council is fully cooperating with New South Wales police investigations while providing community support. The Australia Day ceremony went ahead as planned on Monday after community discussions, with a moment of reflection incorporated into the event. Balranald Shire Council has discovered water meter tampering during recent inspections and is warning that offenders face prosecution with penalties of up to $2,200. The council says it's taking a firm enforcement approach, including formal investigations and prosecutions where appropriate. while asking residents to confidentially report suspected tampering to prevent honest residents from subsidising those who unlawfully access unmeasured water. And the Snowy Monaro community is mourning the passing of Joe Vecchio, who served as Snowy Monaro Regional Council's first general manager from 2016 to 2018 and dedicated nearly 15 years to the region. Mr Vecchio is remembered for his skillful leadership in amalgamating the three councils and his devotion to public service and family. Donations are requested for Neuroblastoma Australia in his memory. It's the Local Government News Roundup, episode number 543, recorded on the 28th of January 2026. To Queensland, and from the Courier Mail, a Queensland mayor has urged parents to reconsider taking young children to K'gari following the tragic death of 19-year-old Canadian backpacker Piper James. Fraser Coast Mayor George Seymour says there's been a worrying increase in dingo attacks on small children over the past 4 to 5 years, with most victims under the age of 7. He noted that state government advice requires children to remain within arm's length of parents at all times on the island, except in fenced areas, adding that that is not a good holiday for child or parent. Torres Shire Council has raised serious concerns about foreign fishing vessels entering Australian waters in the Torres Strait in Queensland undetected, posing risks to community safety, biosecurity and local fisheries. The council is demanding urgent briefings from authorities and calling for locally led solutions to improve surveillance and interception, as residents fear for their safety and the exploitation of marine resources despite significant taxpayer investment in border security infrastructure. Lockyer Valley Regional Council has deployed a disaster management officer to McKinley Shire Council for 14 days to assist with recovery efforts following ex-tropical cyclone Koji in northwest Queensland. The deployment is part of the Council to Council program, with the officer providing support in disaster operations, response, planning, logistics and recovery from the local Disaster Coordination Centre in Julia Creek. Mr Bob G, APM, has been permanently appointed as Queensland Cross-Border Commissioner, bringing extensive experience from his career as a police officer and Director-General in several Queensland government departments. His first official visit is in Goondiwindi this week to meet with local stakeholders and councillors. And in what's been called a triumph of community spirit, the town of Ingham has secured a major concert with chart-topping artist Tones and I, and it's all thanks to an extraordinary grassroots campaign. The push began with local resident Justine Stoddart, whose simple idea sparked a community-wide movement that caught the attention of the popular musician. The response was so overwhelming that Tones and I has now confirmed she'll perform in Ingham on the 20th of February, with the Ingham Showgrounds being explored as the venue. Hinchinbrook Shire Mayor Raymond Jao praised the effort, saying it shows what makes the community truly unique. He congratulated Ms Stoddart and thanked the local businesses, the Chamber of Commerce and residents who rallied behind the campaign. Now, Tasmania is a hot spot for news at the moment. Burnie councillor Trent Aitken will serve a 2-week suspension after a conduct panel found his social media posts homophobic and racist, covering comments about transgender people, Aboriginal people and Australia Day made between January and May last year. Pulse Tasmania reported that the panel ruled he breached the councillor code, but stopped short of ordering an apology due to concerns it wouldn't be genuine, instead requiring him to complete a training course. Meanwhile, a Hobart City Councillor has lost her appeal over social media posts found to have breached the local government code of conduct. Louise Elliott was found to have harassed fellow councillor Ryan Posselt through misleading and derogatory posts that led to threats against him and his family. The Code of Conduct panel described some of her posts as inflammatory, attention-grabbing, wholly unobjective and essentially childlike, and it imposed a 7-day suspension. Elliott says she'll pursue matters relating to freedom of political expression in the federal court. Meanwhile, the local government minister, Kerry Vincent, says he's monitoring Hobart City Council following internal disputes, including controversies over snacks and the councillor suspension for name-calling. The Mercury reported he's urged councillors to focus on serving ratepayers rather than personal conflicts. Lord Mayor Anna Reynolds maintains the council is not dysfunctional, and she's encouraging colleagues to concentrate on substantive issues rather than sensational headlines ahead of October's local government elections. In breaking news, Glenorchy City Council last night unanimously rejected a proposed merger with Hobart City Council, citing concerns about cost, lack of community support and the way the proposal was presented. One councillor described the move from Hobart as an ambush, while another said it had put the community on edge. ABC News reported that while Glenorchy remains open to discussions about local government reform, the council's position is that any amalgamation should be part of a coordinated state-led process rather than an isolated merger between two councils. And Jason Brown, the shared general manager of Kentish and Latrobe councils since May 2024, has resigned effective the 17th of April due to personal circumstances requiring relocation to Hobart. Both councils have acknowledged his leadership in improving transparency, community engagement and staff well-being, and they'll immediately commence recruitment for his successor. In news out of South Australia, a mayor and a councillor from Mount Barker District Council have taken leave from council duties to run for the seat of Cavill in the South Australian election. Mayor David Leach and Councillor Bradley Orr will be suspended from their council responsibilities after the 27th of February, when party nominations close, with the election to be held on the 21st of March. Onkaparinga Council is calling on the South Australian Government to intervene against a proposed plastics factory at Old Raynella, according to a report from the Advertiser. Packaging manufacturer Technoplas wants to convert an old wine production building into a factory, warehouse and offices. Thousands of residents have opposed the development, and the council has voted for the mayor to ask the Premier and Planning Minister to investigate intervention powers. And Karen Turnbull has been elected as the new Deputy Mayor of the District Council of Grant, replacing Brad Mann. Border Watch reported that she then chaired her first meeting item immediately after accepting the position due to the mayor having a conflict of interest. She's expected to serve in the role until council elections in November. The city of Kalgoorlie-Boulder in Western Australia has endorsed a memorandum of understanding with the local Chamber of Commerce and Industry to collaboratively revitalise the city's central business districts. The agreement establishes a framework for coordinated planning and activation initiatives through to 2028. Over 800 people have signed a petition calling for Alice Springs Mayor Asta Hill to resign after she refused to participate in the council's Australia Day citizenship ceremony. Councillor Hill said her refusal to officiate the ceremony was due to her belief that January 26 is a day of mourning that causes harm to parts of the community. Petitioners allege that Ms Hill's decision shows a lack of respect for her mayoral duties and the symbolic importance of the ceremony. The petition will be tabled at the next council meeting if it reaches 1,000 signatures. And Inside Local Government has reported on the appointment of Peter Harder as the new CEO of Barkly Regional Council, bringing over 20 years of senior executive experience to lead the organisation forward. In a statement, Mayor Sid Vashist addressed decade-old online commentary about Mr Harder, affirming his commitment to inclusivity and expressing full confidence in his integrity and leadership abilities. Before we get to the global report, let's have a look at some Australia Day honours and where people involved with local government have been recognised. And if I've missed some, do let me know. It's always very difficult to pick up on all of these. The former Lord Mayor of Darwin, Cecil Black, is a member of the Order of Australia for significant services to local government and the community. He served as Mayor of Darwin between 1980 and 1984 and was Deputy Mayor from 1975 to 1980. Ian Campbell was awarded an AM for services to the Parliament of Western Australia. He's a former Minister for Local Government, among other portfolios. The former Mayor of Yarra Ranges Council in Victoria, Jim Child, has received a Medal of the Order of Australia for services to local government. He served as Mayor for 4 terms, most recently in 2024-25. The former Mayor of Bayside Council in Victoria, Alexander Del Porto, also received an OAM for services to local government. Bruce Green has picked up an OAM for services to local government. He's a former mayor of the city of Port Lincoln in South Australia. The former mayor of Kyogle, Danielle Mulholland, is an OAM for services to local government in the Northern Rivers region of New South Wales. She was mayor between 2013 and 21 and since 2024. Anne Potter, the former mayor of Hume City Council in Victoria, has received an OAM for services to local government and the community. Ms Potter was mayor between 2002 and 2003 and deputy mayor for 2 terms. Leanne Watts, the former mayor of Upper Hunter Shire Council in New South Wales, also received an OAM. She served as mayor from 2010 to 12 and deputy mayor between 2008 and 09. A public service medal for outstanding public service has gone to David Shirley, general manager at Bathurst Regional Council for more than 25 years. An OAM for Councillor Cook Lamb, who served the Maribyrnong community in Melbourne across 4 terms, including 2 terms as mayor, first elected in 2000, returning to the council in 2016. Dr Gillian Miles, currently Commissioner for Infrastructure Australia and a one-time Chief Executive of the City of Greater Geelong, has been honoured with an AM for significant service to the transport and infrastructure sectors. And Gunnedah Shire's Mayor Colleen Fuller has been awarded the Medal of the Order of Australia for service to community through a range of organisations. As I say, if we've missed any, do let us know. We'll catch up on those in future episodes. Now let's pick up on some stories of interest from overseas. Firstly, in the UK, it's been revealed about 250 councillors across 29 English councils will have their terms extended to 7 years following the postponement of local elections to 2028. It's all due to that major reorganisation of local government aiming to abolish the outdated 2-tier system. BBC News reported on criticism of the delays from the Electoral Commission, which argues that scheduled elections should go ahead as planned, except in exceptional circumstances. Stoke-on-Trent has declared the UK's first heritage emergency, launching a 10-year plan that requires £325 million in public and private investment to save its deteriorating historic buildings from being lost forever. And South Oxfordshire and Vale of Whitehorse District Councils have left the social media platform X due to concerns about its AI tool Grok, which can generate fake sexualised content involving real people. Localgov.co.uk reported that both councils have criticised the platform's slow and inadequate response to the concerns and will continue communicating with residents through alternative channels, including Facebook, Instagram and their websites. In the US, a top city official is leaving his position at an Arizona city following controversy over his use of a fake Facebook account. Benson Deputy City Manager Jay Howe will finish up on the 2nd of Feb after he used a profile under another name to defend a controversial aluminium recycling centre planned for the city. In his posts, Howe called the critics morons and idiots. The Herald Review reported that city officials discovered the Facebook activity while Howe was on a paid leave of absence in October. In New York State, the Rochester City Council has unanimously voted to rescind a previously approved 25% salary increase, about $50,000 a year, following public concern about the raise. The decision was made after swearing in new council members and came just weeks after the original December 16 vote to approve the increase. The City of Winnipeg in Canada is considering cancelling its $30,000 annual membership with a Texas-based free trade organisation and stopping funding for councillors' business trips to the United States. CTV News reports that a motion responding to President Trump's tariffs on Canadian goods and his comments about making Canada the 51st state will go before the City Council this week. In his motion, the proposing councillor, Russ Wyatt, said the city has been completely out of step with the Canadian people, who've opted out of personal and business travel to the US. And finally from New Zealand, former Dunedin Mayor Jules Radich has been remembered as a passionate community leader who always put his city first. RNZ reported that Radich, who died earlier this month while serving his second term as a councillor, was honoured at a special Dunedin City Council meeting on Monday. Current Mayor Sophie Barker described him as someone who had the city in his heart and was loved for his balance, consensus building and good humour. Council Chief Executive Sandy Graham fondly remembered discussing his many ideas and passions, from Japanese art to tackling erosion at St Clair Beach. A by-election for the vacant seat will be held in May. And there you have a busy summer series update after a few days off. The Local Government News Roundup is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, and we receive support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. If you have comments or feedback, you can email us at lgweeklynews@gmail.com. You can find out more about this episode, including the story links, by heading to lgnewsroundup.com. The Local Government News Roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. Until next time, thanks for listening and bye for now. Support for the Roundup comes from Symphony 3. Councils around the country are working hard to keep their communities safe and prepared before, during and after emergencies such as bushfires and floods. And in recent weeks, Symphony 3 has been working with councils around Victoria, including Greater Bendigo, Mildura, Ararat and Golden Plains, to create emergency dashboards, pulling together live data including weather, traffic, emergency incidents, unplanned and planned disruptions, news and social media feeds. An emergency dashboard is cost-effective and can be deployed in just 3 days. Find out more at www.symphony3.com.